Well, this probably looks very familiar. But we're going to approach this in a little different way. So watching your video, like the 155 you definitely got. It seemed like when you got to 160, something changed rhythmically, and it just wasn't quite happening the way it was supposed to. I'll make a setting adjustment here. Drop the frickin' mic I use, and I'm like, oh god, what happened? Hopefully everything sounds alright still. So let's do this to help out with things. So, the plan was get each section up to the 180 or beyond before moving on to the next. So I'm assuming that the speed things went well with that stuff since you were working on the longer thing here. So let's do this. We're going to start very simple and then kind of work our way backwards. So what do I mean? What I want you to do is get this up past 180 before you add in that. So we're going to kind of work backwards here. Suppose we could start with the first bar and then go. We could start here and then you get that to the 180 or beyond 180, and then add in the next one, and then add in, and then add in. So, with that in mind, I'm going to leave this one up to you. Where do you feel you struggle with the most? Do you find that this is harder, or do you find this one to be harder? Whichever one you find most difficult, start there. Okay? So, if the bar number one with that pattern, you first, second, and fourth, if you find those fingers more difficult, start with that. If you find the first, third, and fourth, I think you may have said in the video, I'm sorry, I cannot remember right now. If you find that more challenging, do that first. So we're going to focus on the more challenging thing first. So yeah, totally up to you. Again, start with whichever finger combination is the most difficult for you, and then go from there. So you just add a bar at a time. And so we're just going to still kind of ease into getting the whole thing there. Now, next thing I'm going to do. Now, I didn't erase the stuff at the top of the Guitar Pro file because it's just easier to leave it there. So this is another thing I want you to try. I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but what I want you to do this time is instead of dropping it 10 beats per minute every time you can't do it after 5 attempts, we're going to do this instead. You get up to your max for that day. You're going to drop it 10 or 20, depending on how you're feeling. And you're just going to go for a buttload of repetitions right off the bat. So you're just going to go, go, go. Like, shoot for at least 4 repetitions right away. Going to go for that right away. And really just drill in a bunch of high repetitions where you can control it, but you're still having to work for it. So, again, drop it down 10 first. Give it a try. If it still feels like way too much of a pain in the butt to get 4 or more repetitions in with however many bars you're doing. So we're going to do this for the whole thing too. So even if, when you're working up the 1 bar, once you get it to that high speed, drop it down, and then just start repeating. Go ahead, leave the quarter note in there. So let's go up to, let's say 170. So you still have that little quarter note break, right? And just repeat. And then when you got 2 bars going, you're just going to go back and forth between those, just over and over and over again. Just noticed that thing is freaking loud. What is going on here? Just wonder what the heck did I do to my mic? That still needs to go down. There we go. All right. Hopefully it sounds all right. So yeah, when you got the 2 bars, just go back and forth between those. That was bad. bars? Yes, indeed. Just keep going, all 3. You could, alternatively, because you got that big jump, you can try this instead. So basically, you're going to hit this, 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 and then back to this. So this way you don't have as much of a jump. So that's another thing you can do. You kind of go forwards, and backwards. That's not a bad thing to try. So either way, you can just do it, repeat it as is, or do like the forward, backward kind of thing. So if you were to go forward and backwards, we'd have this. Ugh. And again, if a mistake is made, just stop, reset, and keep going. And then once you get the full thing going, again, repetition. After you've reached your max and you drop it down 10 or 20. So just as is with the repeats. So look at that, the big old jump. My pinky missed its target. Just over and over again until you start to really feel like you're struggling to get it. When it starts getting, your forearms tightening up too much, then you're good. So it might be easier to do the back and forth kind of thing. That was terrible. Oh my God. And then with that, if you're doing the back and forth, or even if you're not, just kind of, even if you don't finish the whatever repetition you're on, just take it to that point where your form is just like, oh my God. And then it's like, all right, time to stop and let it rest. So again, just to recap the approach this week, you're going to do 1 bar at a time, or you start with 1 bar and then add a bar as you hit the 180 goal. But I'm going to say this, I think it is best if you go past the 180. So really, bare minimum 185. So again, start with either this pattern or this pattern, this bar or this bar, whichever one you feel is most challenging. So we're going to attack the most challenging thing first, and then once you get whatever that is, whatever bar that is, past 180, then add a bar, get those past 180, add a bar, past 180, and so on. But every step of the way, even on just the first bar you start working with, once you hit your max for that day, drop it down 10, start adding in the repetitions, at least 4 in a row, and even if you get 5 mistakes in a row, or 5 attempts and you can't keep it going, stay there. Unless the 10 BPM still is just feels like an absolute nightmare struggle, then drop it another 10. Because it still needs to be doable. But we're not going to just keep dropping it. We want to stay very close to what your max is for the day. Hopefully all that makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I will see you in your next video.